Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Rangers. Today is Thursday, January 23rd. This is episode 54 of the Talking Rangers podcast. The New York Rangers continue to roll. Another win on Tuesday night, a dominant shutout victory, a no-doubter for the Rangers, 5-0 over the Senators. We've talked about it a lot, how big this stretch is and continues to be. The Blue Jackets on Saturday, they pick up the 1-0 shootout win. Lose to the Canadians, tough loss there, frustrating loss, back and forth game. Defensively weren't great, 5-4 in that one, but then bounce back and dominate Ottawa. All these teams either ahead, tied, or slightly behind the Rangers in the division, the Metro, and of course the wild card standings. So another big game tonight against the Flyers. Joe, Rangers are cruising. They're back.
Like unlike the we're back meter, like 10 being we're all the way back, 1 being we're not back at all. Where would you say we're back?
It's like a 7.5.
7.5. Yeah.
Because they're not fully back.
Once you see the name and New York Rangers above the playoff threshold, then I think it's about like a 9.
Then
a 10 would be like we're comfortably in the playoffs and we're playing well.
And you've already clinched, and
I think we're back. That just needs for their
just
10 out of 10 means that not that just like they look like they're gonna make it. Not only they're playing well, and then they're like pretty much in a playoff spot at that point.
Pretty much back.
We're almost back though.
Almost back.
Almost.
I think really to be back, get back into the playoffs and then really start to dominate here where you're winning 4 to 5 to 6, 7 in a row, go on a 5-game heater and, pick up, 10 points straight and get yourself up to, I don't know, when in the next 5 games, get yourself up to like 60 points and surpass, Columbus and be the one in the wild card and really take over here. Would love to see that. So, but yeah, we're back. You got to be like a cautious we're back. You can't fully go all in just yet. Just got to keep rolling with it. They're picking up points, 6-0-3 in their last 9. Igor Shesterkin with back-to-back shutouts, which is good to see. Defensively overall, they're playing well. Sunday was tough against Montreal, but otherwise, 6-0 combined between Columbus and Ottawa, 2 teams, of course, very important victories there. So I guess what are just your overall thoughts on where things stand here?
I mean, you can clearly see that defensively they're so much better. You don't see like the guys just coming through the neutral zone with like speed, odd man rush. Like I remember there was a period where there was like so many like odd man rushes. You don't see that anymore. I feel like for the most part they were a little open against the Canadians. But besides that, I feel like they've been pretty good defending the rush. The power play still isn't great. I know they scored 2 power play goals, but the last game,
they were kind of garbage time.
Yeah,
and one was 5-on-3. So.
Yeah, it needs to get better. They kind of went back to the old unit, but I just think overall though 5-5 have been better. The goaltenders have both been good. Igor's been good ever since he came back from that like fluke injury or whatever. Jonathan Quick's been great. I mean, just what a performance he put on that game on Sunday. I mean, he didn't get a win, but he played unbelievable.
Yeah.
I just think, like I said, 5-5 defense has been better. 5-5 scoring has gone up a little bit. Definitely better than what it was, but you're starting to see them score like 3-4 goals a game again, which is good. Again, not to nitpick, but again, they could be a little bit better scoring 5-5. Definitely the power play can be better, but I think overall defensively, I think it's more important to be playing well defensively, and they are. So I think eventually that will translate. If you're playing better defense, you're giving up less goals. Therefore, you're probably going to be offense more. Therefore, you should be able to score more. Scoring more, confidence goes up. So, I think as a whole, they're playing a lot better. And like I said, defensively, it's much better.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. They look good. They don't look, great. There's still some holes in their game. There's still some things they need to clean up, of course. But overall, it's been a lot better. I mean, it really feels like, overall, they're pretty consistent winning record. It's funny. You go back and look at the Trouba trade, when that went down, or not the Trouba trade, when did they trade Kako? How long ago was that now?
I don't know, maybe late or early into December.
Yeah. Either way, I guess really not to put a trade stamp on it. It doesn't really matter. But you look at just their record here in January. I mean,
They
they've
haven't
picked
lost
up
a game in
points
rec.
yeah, they've picked up points in every single game here in January. So my point about the whole trade doesn't mean anything. I was just trying to find a timestamp, but it's opening up in January anyway. They started with that 2-1 win over Boston, and then since that point they had the one bad loss to Washington. Like, that was the only bad loss that this team's had here in a while, was that Washington loss. Other than that, all these other games have been competitive. Yeah, there's been some frustrating losses, whether it was blowing the 3-0 lead against the Stars, or even the Canadiens game was unfortunate just because it was so back and forth. I mean, that was a very fun game to watch, but
Yeah.
you score. The Canadiens had answers for every single one of their goals. And then, of course, they score in overtime. So you can nitpick that type of stuff. But really, all these games have been so much more competitive. And you look at some of these losses early in the year, whether it was getting smoked by the Devils twice, that's
Yeah.
even changed now, where they pushed them to overtime and you had the Sam Carrick game-winning goal. Whether it was the blowout they had in the Kings against the Kings, losing to Nashville and Chicago. I mean, they had some brutal losses. The stretch of during the memo where they lost 5 in a row and all that stuff when the trade memo was sent out, losing the games to the Flyers, where they no show. That Seattle loss was brutal earlier in the year. So they're playing a lot better. They're not getting blown out in these games. They're much more competitive. They're playing it feels like they're a lot more focused. Like you mentioned, you're not getting those odd man rushes that we saw earlier in the year where teams are just getting through at ease on them. You're seeing a much more complete hockey team. And Tuesday night was nice because we haven't had many of those wins this year where you can kind of just sit back and relax in the third period. There haven't been many of those. And we've started to get some of those where this is a team, even the Utah game. I know they scored the empty net, but that was 5-3. Yeah, the Chicago win was nice where they kind of blew them out. So even recently, they've started to pick up some wins here where they're winning by, playing well, not the Sabres win that they had, during that rough stretch where they played terrible. They're fun to watch. I guess that's the point I'm trying to get at. Is they're getting back to the point where they're fun to watch. They were so boring early in the year. There was no energy in the games. They're clearly playing with joy. Something's clicked. They're somewhat back when Larry Brooks writes an article about the Rangers being back when, like a month ago, he wrote how they quit. So that's when they're coming back.
Yeah.
And I like Larry Brooks a lot. I'm just saying, you oftentimes don't always see reporters say one thing and then all of a sudden switch on over to the other side and say they're back, especially a guy that's around the team all the time. So clearly he's getting that vibe as well. I guess you think I guess just to break down some of these players, Lafreniere feels like he's starting to get back into his groove here a little bit. Hopefully he's had back-to-back games with goal, 4 points in his last 4 games. Has picked up 4 out of his last 4 games. 3 of them he's had points. He went through that rough stretch ever since getting the contract. Feels like he's getting back on. You feel like he's getting back on track now? Back-to-back games with a goal.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he had that one good game against Dallas, or period, right? And then he kind of went away for a couple games, and then over the last couple games, been pretty good. I think he's just not shooting enough. I think that's maybe a little bit of a problem that he was having, where he was just deferring on rushes to try to make a pass or something like that. And I think he just got to consistently show that he's going to shoot more. But yeah, he had a goal and assist last game. He scored against the Canadiens. Obviously, he didn't get a point against the Blue Jackets because no one did. But did he get a goal against Utah?
Yeah. No, assist.
Okay,
I believe.
So yeah. But yeah, no, he's been better. He's been playing better. I think eventually, hopefully, he gets more better as the year gets towards the end, where we can kind of see him maybe getting around 50 plus points, because I think he kind of had a little bit too long of a stretch to kind of surpass his 57 points last year. But I think at the end of the day, you just got to see him consistently playing well. Um, and then I just think there was kind of, like you said, that period where after his contract, he kind of disappeared a little. But I think it is a good sign that he's playing better along with the team. But obviously we'll expect a pretty, not a breakout, because I guess maybe last year you could say it was a breakout season, but to build off of that, you were expecting 57 points, good playoffs. I don't know, 70 points maybe was a lot
Yeah.
of people's expectations, and he didn't really hit that. But it's still a little less than half the season left, and you can still see more out of him. But it is it's a good sign that he is starting to score more, and like I
Yeah.
said, the team's starting to play better.
Yeah, I don't think he'll reach what we expected for him in the beginning of the season. He'd have to kind of go on a tear here. I mean, he basically went silent for about a month, which is a lot of ground you're gonna have to make up here in the second half of the season. Um, but yeah, look, if he plays better down the stretch here, you've also got the Four Nations Classic break coming up here, 2 weeks. So sometimes you'd hate to see him heat up and then go through that 2 week break, but if he can even carry this into start to heat up here, carry that into the break, come out really the final, that break ends like late February. So really the final month and a half of the season for him to, after that, kind of be able to just consistently play well would be huge. And Will Cooley's another guy, had 2 goals back-to-back games. The one was on Tuesday. It was the first. Was it second
Wait,
power?
didn't he get a goal
Panarin scored the
called
first.
back in one of the games too?
Yeah, I think so. Was that Kaliev had the goal called back against Ottawa.
And Carrick, there was
Yeah.
two. I
And
think
then
against Utah he
it might have
scored
been
and,
against
and it was
Utah.
called back.
Called back. Might have
So
been. There's been a
yeah.
couple.
Is it like 3 this year got called back? I think
Yeah.
he had one against Washington. I think he had one earlier in the season.
The Rangers get a good amount of goals called back.
We never get offsides though for
No,
us. Like it's always a goal.
they don't. Yeah. You even remember that like Columbus game last year? Did he
Yeah,
get a goal called back
I
too in
think
that?
him and Hedel got goals called back.
Yeah, there was 2 of them. I think they ended up losing that game.
Yeah,
That
the
was like
Rangers are
the Boone Jenner legacy game, right? Didn't he
they're
have
very
a
good at getting goals called back.
Yeah, they are. If only, I was thinking about that. Just you always play the if game. Just like if only all these goals counted where like statistically these guys would line up. But even the
I feel
Rangers,
like it's just Cooley though. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean it is just cool. But as a team, they do, and they usually don't
Feel
get the
that.
benefit of the doubt on other offsides calls. Like the Capitals game, they called it back.
Yeah, and he just got a couple. I feel like I know. Well, he had the one in the
Or didn't
playoffs a
call it
couple years
back.
ago. Remember at the end of the
Yeah,
Penguins game, it was like I think it was game 1.
they've. So what is that? Hedo's had 4 now over the last year and a
What were
half.
the other? What were the other ones?
No, Cooley. I mean
Oh yeah,
Cooley,
I think Cooley's got.
not
I
Hedel.
think
My bad.
he had one last year, 100%. I remember the one you're talking about. I think
Yeah,
he's got 3 this year.
that was like the second game of the season. Now you had the one last or whatever Utah, because Carrick and
I think he's
Callie
got.
they stole a Callie legacy game from
I
us.
know, right? And I think he's got 3. I think Cooley's got 3 called back this year, which is that's got to be like he must lead the league in goals called back.
Yeah, and then Lafreniere last year led the league in like snake bitten plays,
Yeah,
where he scored probably had like 20 shots that should have went in, but 2 did.
yeah. I feel like he also had a lot of passes that weren't buried either.
Yeah,
So, but I don't know. It seems like hopefully stop getting goals called back. It's kind of
yeah.
it's getting a little crazy.
All the help they could get. They got everything against them. Every game.
Even the refs. The refs
Refs.
are against
Refs are
us.
against them all the time. Yeah, so Cooley's playing better, as shown, played well at least Tuesday night against Ottawa. Would be nice to see his numbers start to get back on track here after the Capo Caco comparison, which is not a great look. I guess just regarding Capo Caco, you think the range just trade wise, right? They've already dealt True, but they've already dealt Caco. the whole JT Miller trade thing feels like it's where there's smoke, there's fire. It feels like it's going to happen at some point. Do you think it happens? Do you want it to happen?
Actually, like, to be honest,
I don't know. I'm mixed about it.
yeah, like I know a lot of people are really like anti it. I think I'd be okay with it as long as it kind of just like you don't give up any of your big prospects like Perot or anything. I think it makes it's. I think it'd be bittersweet, but it makes sense if you trade Heedle because he is a
Yeah.
center. Heedle, look at this. Like he gets hurt a lot. He's got the concussion problems. So I'd be okay giving up like Heedle. I think someone like Lindgren or they probably don't want Borgen. I think they're going to hold on to Borgen. Actually, you saw that that like trade where it was like first round pick Lindgren, Heedle, something like that. I'd be
Yeah.
okay with. The first round pick I'm okay with just because I think that they make the playoffs. Hopefully, if they don't, I
Yeah.
think it'd be a little bit of a disastrous move. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
they would have to put a condition on that pick for me to be okay with giving up the first if it's like lottery protected.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'd be okay. I know people have problems with him in the locker room. I don't know why. Maybe that's the reason why he was traded out of here. Because when that trade happened to McDonough, it felt kind of weird that
Yeah.
they threw him in because he was a young player, showed some promise. But I think I'd be okay with them bringing him in. I think that kind of adds pretty good depth to your center depth, where you have Trocheck, Miller, and Zibanejad. Um,
Yeah.
so
I
yeah,
guess just,
I'm more on the side of yes.
yeah, I would agree. I think the biggest debate is just even giving away Heedle, even though he does have the concussion problem, and that certainly affects him now and affects his future. I think the biggest debate I've seen against JT Miller is just trading for an aging center, giving up one of these younger guys for a guy that's going to be 32. If you don't win the cup this year, like, is JT Miller really enough for this team to get over the hump? I guess would probably be the biggest debate I've seen. And is it really worth it trading even Heedle, who has the injury concerns? Is it worth it trading a guy at 25 or for a guy that's going to be 32 in March for maybe really just this year? Because let's be honest, if they don't win it this year or at least get to the cup this year, things are going to look a whole lot different next season. That's been the biggest debate, but I wouldn't be
Yeah, no,
against
I
it. I
agree.
mean, look, he's former Ranger. He's obviously got experience here. Um, it feels like it's gonna happen, especially with, like you mentioned, the locker room stuff. Even now in Vancouver's interesting. You hear a lot about that with
I mean,
Peterson and
he
all
also
that.
probably has connections here too. I mean, he played
Yeah,
with Ryder, he played with Zibanejad. I
yeah,
assume he played with Trocheck somewhere because they're both Americans, probably around the same age, right?
yeah,
They probably wound up playing in some sort of level of hockey together. So he's got some connections, and obviously, organizationally, he's played here already. But I do kind of I understand the other side where it's like, are you going to win the cup? Is he a
yeah,
difference maker? He is going to be 32. He's got like 4 or 5 years left. So it is something that could be concerning, but at the same time, if you're sending out Heedle, you're saving cap there. If you
yeah,
send out Lindgren, you're saving cap for this year, I guess, and then you can add more players. And then just the fact that you got rid of Truba, I guess you have more cap there. Guys are going to be coming off in a couple of years. Like,
yeah.
I don't think the cap is too overly concerning. I think just
No, I
him just
don't.
being on the team maybe would be more of an issue that I could see being a problem if he like doesn't fit in. But I don't know. I think it's been a while since I've really seen him play like
Yeah.
consistently. So
Well, I mean, he's on Vancouver. I don't
yeah, I
know
mean,
him
some of the
playing
time when
Canucks
we see
games.
him, you don't really see him out there the whole time. He's not a player always like flashy where you see him on Instagram all the time or whatever. But from what I get, he's more of an offensive player. Obviously, I don't know how good he is defensively. I don't think that's his main game, but I don't know how his game will translate with age. So
Yeah,
I guess that could be a factor, but I don't know.
yeah,
I
and
think I think just to say this, I think that I don't see a lot of risk in the move, especially if you think this team is going. If you say this team's going to be bad rebuilding, just because the other contracts are coming off quicker, then I think it's fine. The only problem is obviously Zibaneja's contract is the longest, but
yeah,
I don't see this team rebuilding. Maybe a retool.
retool.
So
Yeah,
I don't see a rebuild.
yeah, and it's kind of tough to, in a way, fully rebuild with some of these contracts. But I guess the point to go against, like you mentioned JT Miller and what he can do offensively, the point I would say, the biggest point, one of the bigger points to go against the whole 32, he's aging, he's regressing. I mean, this is a guy that had 103 points last year, which was the first time in his career he had over 100 points. So you're talking about a guy that was what, 31 season, had a career year points wise. The 2 years prior to that put up 82 and 99, the most he's had in his career. So this is a guy that statistically has had some of his better seasons recently since he's hit his 30s. Yeah. So you can kind of make, just to go against the counterpoint to counter that point is, well, he's still playing at a high level, and this year in 36 games, he's got 32 points. So he's still kind of around where you'd expect him to be from that perspective. At least the last couple of years has been, point per game guy. I think you think it happens?
I think it is going to happen. I think
so too.
I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. I think it's going to happen. Honestly, it's probably. I think it's probably going to happen before the break. I think they probably want all that done before then. If it is more of a locker room issue, I think they probably want to get him as soon as possible and then see what they are come to the deadline. I don't think they want to hold on to him until the deadline and then you're already out and maybe he's lost some value. But I think at this point, I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. And I would say he's going to be a Ranger again. So,
and we've officially reached a point of, I feel like we've done this now a couple times this year, but we've reached a point of these pregame warm-ups where we got to see who's out there and who's not.
Yeah.
That's where we've reached again. We got to that point with when the trade memo was sent out, like it was always checking to see who would be the scratch. Do they actually scratch Kreider?
Yeah.
What happens? Same thing with Trouba, Kakko even, although Kakko really was pretty quick. He said, what he said, and the next day they traded him. So that was pretty quick. Although what he said really didn't influence the trade much. They were going to deal him probably anyway, but obviously what he said was probably added fuel to the fire, certainly. So I think it'll probably happen too. I could see that. I think you're going to see a lot happen before the break. Personally, I think I've always said if the Rangers would to make a coaching change, maybe it would happen at the break. Not going to happen now, but earlier in the year.
I think he's pretty much safe for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Or at least if this team was going to make a drastic change, they would wait, see where they're at the break, because they got 2 weeks. That's a lot of time.
Yeah.
And then really you come out for that final home stretch of games, 20-something games there, where you either go all in on the playoffs or you step back and just look forward to 25 and 26. When is the exact deadline? It is March 7th. The exact deadline.
It's early March, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so overall positive right now with this team. A lot more positive than we were beginning of the season. Defensively, they're playing well. And I'll say this, Will Borgen, just defensively, I guess.
He's been
Will
good,
Borgen has been solid. He's been, he's starting to grow on me a little bit. That's for sure.
Still think, they could have gotten more for Capo, but
yeah, he could have. But this decor that right now is a whole lot better than what they were rolling out there, at least. And there's still some holes in this
100%,
but it's a lot better. And they're playing better hockey. Mika's playing better. Mika on the back meter. Where's Mika?
I don't know. He's been better, but
I don't know if he's back just yet.
He still has stuff. There's going to be a stretch where you kind of really notice him, like, oh wow, Mika, playing really well tonight. I haven't really seen a game like that. It's more so just like he's not playing bad.
Yeah,
it's not like he's playing good. He's just not playing bad anymore. So he's just playing okay, which is I guess good enough for this team to win games, but
not good enough for like the contract and everything, but good enough for him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we'll see. Hopefully, he's got a get right game tonight, right, against the Flyers.
Yes. This better be. It's bad when he doesn't score against Philly.
Yeah, we shot him.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything last time they played Philly.
Yeah, he didn't.
Oh no, he did. You remember he missed an open net at the end of
Oh
the
yeah,
game.
well missed. Yeah, missed. Yeah, it was Ryan Strome missed the open net. Yeah. When was the last time he scored against Philly?
Let's see. I like to use stat muse. Let's see. I got it here. Zibanejad stats versus the Flyers. Let's see what they are.
Oh, it's probably great. Okay, found it right here. Last year when they beat them in overtime, 6-5. He
Might not assist the Carter's goal.
power play, open up the game.
All right, they're not as
Oh
good as
yes, that was the Fox game. He
they're
scored the
not as good
overtime.
as you think. And you know what? I'm gonna go with the Rangers.
No, well, I mean, if we're being honest, it was the two blow-ups during the COVID season. Really.
Inflated it.
Yeah, outside of that COVID season, it's like Glaber Torres against the Orioles. It was just the 2019 season inflated it. Since that point, he hasn't hit, or he didn't hit. Not even on the team anymore. But it was really 2019, and that was it for Glaber. Same thing with Mika. It was like the COVID season, and that was pretty much it. When was the last time Mika has scored 2 goals in a game?
I don't think he's done it this year.
No, not this year.
Right,
well, technically, Carolina game 1.
His career stats against the Flyers with both both the Senators and the Rangers. Let's see. Where is it? I don't know why this is not coming up. My monitor is so slow. Okay, here it is. He's played 46 games and he has 38 points, 19 goals, 19 assists. That's pretty good though. 19 goals in 46 games.
Yeah, that's solid. Against one team, it's good.
Yeah,
it's probably the most, right?
His goals against a team in the league. Yeah. I mean, he scored 5 against the Capitals that one game.
We already had 5 in that one game. You're probably right.
It's close.
Let's see.
You think we'll see that again? A 5-goal game?
5-goal for Mika? No.
From any player on the Rangers. So happened once in our lifetime.
That was a one-time thing.
Didn't he have 6 points in a period against the Flyers too? Right? Wasn't that all in one period? One of the games.
The Flyers, yeah. Well, they won that one game 9-0. They were in the I remember the reverse. Was that the Chris Knobloch game?
I don't remember.
I think it might have been. David Quinn was out with COVID. I think it was at that time.
Game. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, here we go. 19 goals against the Capitals and the Flyers.
Oh, so that's his career high against teams?
Yeah, he's tied in both those teams.
Is he going to break it tonight?
Maybe, yeah. 17 against the Bruins, 16 against the Devils, 15 against Carolina. That's his top 5.
Yeah, he's a Bruins killer. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Bruins.
Don't play the Bruins that often either.
He owns the Devils. All right, he's got the most points against the Devils.
He's a Devils killer. Oh, he's like the Jack Hughes of the Rangers.
Yeah. Imagine getting owned by Mika Zibanejad. 42 Devils, 38 Flyers, 37 Carolina, 36 Capitals, 36 Sabres.
Okay.
Who does he have the most assists against? Devils. Wow.
He's a Devil killer.
Man, he just owns the Devils. I don't know if this is including postseason too.
Probably not.
Maybe not. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. You got to pay for you got to unlock Stat Moose.
Yeah, Stat Moose is good, but sometimes it kind of.
I was going to say, I only get down to 25 on the list for goals.
It'll pay well, yeah. So
25th is the Rangers. He scored 3 goals against the Rangers.
Could use that against the other teams now.
He's got 8 points against the Rangers in his career.
He played a playoff series against the Rangers too.
Yeah. It is true. All right. Any other takes, thoughts on the state of this team?
I'm trying to think. I think we pretty much, went over the JT Miller thing. I mean, Miller's been a little bit better. Our Miller, ever since he's been with Borgen. I think Lindgren's been a little bit better too, but we're kind of saying as a whole they've been better. Yeah. I do like that they kind of stuck with the lines where you thought maybe when Kreider came back, they would have forced them back with Zibanejad. I think the line's been solid, pretty good actually. The Zibanejad line. I don't know if they score a lot, but I think they've been playing well. I think all the lines have actually been really good. I mean, I guess we didn't really mention Rempe. I mean,
yeah, he did score.
He got a goal. That line's been great. Sam Carrick's been good. Edstrom's been good. So for the most part, most of these guys have been playing well. But
Yeah.
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 The Rangers have like a really good record with Rempe. I don't know why, but
I know. I don't. Maybe just a locker room. He's the opposite of what JT Miller maybe is.
he's just a good bench guy. Maybe on the
Yeah.
bench he's like, boosting everybody's ego.
Yeah.
I don't know. Seem to win when he plays. It's a
Yes.
little frustrating though when he plays and then he doesn't play for like half the game. But
Yeah.
I don't know. He's been fine though.
Yeah. He's been good. Not getting himself into trouble. So that's a positive, I would say.
The Rempe
Right.
chance returned last game.
Yeah. More ramp. We need more. More. All righty. Any closing thoughts? By the way, Jacob Markstrom will miss some time.
Yeah, I thought that they already reported that, no?
Yeah, this was from Kevin Weeks.
What did he say?
Sorry, I didn't make it clear. It's not as bad as it feared. He's a
Yeah.
knee sprain, so he will miss time.
Probably which missed like maybe 1 to 2 weeks, maybe
Sounds
2.
said
Maybe,
Four Nations face-off could be in jeopardy.
no. So then maybe won't be back till after that.
Probably smart.
Yeah, I wouldn't rush him back, but
Yeah,
I don't know. Devils haven't played
not
well,
our
so
problem. No, they haven't been. They're not winning anything.
and they won last night. Good for them, right? They snapped a 4-game
Yes.
losing streak.
That is true against 5-1 Bruins or against
Terrible
the Bruins.
Bruins. The Bruins suck.
Bruins like swap places with us.
Dude,
They're like kind of
I think most of these teams in the Eastern Conference are just so bad, and there's so many bad teams that it just looks like everybody's good.
Well, yeah, that's the crazy part is nobody really scares you a ton. You know Carolina, you know what they're gonna. You don't trust them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right. Devils, they don't scare you at all. At least maybe the Rangers just because of the.
They match up well against the Rangers, so only
they
for the
do.
Rangers. Other teams in the
Yeah.
league should not be scared of the Devils.
Even the Capitals. I mean, do they really scare you?
Are they just going on some like Cinderella run and they're gonna turn back?
I mean, Spencer Carberry's phenomenal, but
yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, this is a team that barely. Maybe they are. I don't know.
I don't think they're legit. I think they're gonna lose early in the playoffs.
They probably will. Florida, obviously. Tampa, Toronto, we know. Toronto is going to get
Toronto's going to lose in the first round. Tampa, I think they can win a round. I'm not too threatened by them. I don't think they're a contender. The only contender.
You look at the top of the wild card. Columbus and Ottawa are not going to do it.
Columbus and Ottawa are terrible. I don't know how they would have. I think it's just all these bad teams just beat up.
They're all just so bad. I mean, the Penguins are regressing. Sabres suck. Islanders have been awful. Red Wings fired their coach. They're been kind of hovering all year.
But it's just all these teams that are just beating each other.
Yeah. I mean, just look, though. Like, the Bruins fired their coach. Red Wings fired their coach. You've got a young and up-and-coming team in Montreal, so I guess that's been going good for them. But other than that, it's like the
playoffs.
No, and then the Flyers are still kind of in this rebuild. The Rangers struggled. They've traded 2 players. That's what the East has been. There hasn't been one dominant team.
I don't think there's any good teams in the NHL. Like, if the Rangers not winning the cup, I'll tell you that. But like, if they get into the playoffs, you never know.
Yeah, it's not like last year or even the year before that, where you knew it was going to be. There's not that one dominant team, and you've always got Florida. Like, you got to repeat. What are they going to look like? The whole hangover thing. I mean, it's all questions.
It's open. The league's open. So I think.
Yeah.
I think I'm at a point where I think the Rangers do make the playoffs now.
Yes, I think they make the playoffs.
I think they make the playoffs. I don't know if they get into the top 3 in the division. Depends what the Devils keep doing.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to make the playoffs.
I'd be shocked if they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't even think they have to play that well down the stretch. I think these other teams are just going to start.
What are they, like 2 points out of a playoff
2 points out. And they're 2 points out, and I believe they have 2 games, or no, it's just a game in hand now of Columbus.
Who's in the playoffs?
2 games in hand on Boston.
Columbus and Ottawa?
Yeah, they're behind Columbus, Ottawa. Well, yeah, Columbus 53, Ottawa 52. Montreal's out right now.
So Boston
Montreal
and ahead of us.
Boston are at 52.
Are we ahead of Boston now?
We're right behind them. They have 52. We have 50. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
2 points.
If we win tonight, then awesome.
And and then Philly's behind us at 50.
Yeah.
And then it's Pittsburgh, Detroit, Islanders, and the Buffalo Sabres.
So it's kind of a big game tonight then. If
Yeah,
we
it is.
wait, the Flyers are tied with us?
Yeah, 50-50.
Okay, we got to win that. That's a big game
Yeah, it's a
then.
big game. This
It's a
one's big.
It's a 4-point
All
game.
of them are big. They got Boston coming up next weekend, I believe it is. That's a big one.
Dude,
All these games
I
coming
was
up are
looking at the
big.
schedule in February. Like February is a very winnable month where they could win 6 out of, I think they played 9 games. They should be able to win
Yeah.
6, 7 out of 9.
There's going to be a team that's probably going to go undefeated in February, but there's going to have to be a giant asterisk next to it because you only play 9 games.
The Rangers play more than a lot of teams because I was looking at the totals yesterday
Yeah.
for like point
Well,
totals. Like the Rangers, I think, are like 10.5.
I think coming out of the break right away, they've got 10 and a, or not 10 and a half. Geez, they've got it back to back
Out of the
right out of the break.
formations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they
so
go into the break on the road. I think Columbus is the last game, February 8th. And I think they come out of it and they play Buffalo and then like Pittsburgh back to back.
winnable. I think they played Pittsburgh twice in February. They played Buffalo.
Yeah.
They play Columbus. Like they can do it. At the end of February, I think they're going to be comfortably in a playoff spot.
They should. They have to be.
Yeah, and then on March 7th, we're getting Sidney Crosby.
Yes. We're back.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts?
No, just hopefully we can keep winning games. Let's get a 4-game win streak here, okay?
I agree. Let's keep
Or have we
rolling.
even gotten 3? We haven't gotten 3 in a while, so let's get 3. Let's get a 3-game win streak.
3 games. Start
3
from the bottom and work your way up. All right. That'll do it. We will talk to you guys next week. LGR. We're back.